I like what the Cowboys are doing. Now, the Cowboys have further to go, and they still got a lot more work to do. And, you've got to go out there in September and do it. But I like what you're doing. Cleared space up. You're trying to acquire players. You've been very active. That's not always a good sign. When you're active like that, it means you got a lot of holes to fill. And the Cowboys have a ton of holes to fill. And, I actually think the Cowboys so far have done some pretty good things. Especially the most important thing was redoing the deals. I got this list from Michael Irving. Type this in here. So far they restructured contracts on Dak, CD, and Tyler Smith. They ended up making a trade for Rashawn Gary from the Packers and only had to give up a fourth rounder for him. And that guy is better than Jaelan Phillips. They agreed to terms on safety Jalen Thompson, re-signed Sam Williams. I like that on a one-term deal and a one-year deal. They got a tender offer for kicker Brandon Aubrey. They did lose out on Jakobi. Jakobi was going back and forth between the Cowboys and the Raiders. So he ended up going with the Raiders because he didn't want to sign with the Cowboys. Seals, do you think with all of our draft picks in the upcoming draft is preventing Howie from signing free agents? A little bit of that. There's a little bit of that, yeah. Actually, too, remember something. When you go and you're going to draft as many draft picks as they have, you're going cheaper. And that's what the Eagles are doing. They're going cheaper right now. Seals, like last year, the defense will start out slow as players work into form. Wait a second, Bob. That's not what happened. The players never worked into form until they got Jaelan Phillips. Their cornerback, too, was a train wreck for the entire first half of the season. They couldn't set the edges for the entire first part, and it was starting to wear the defense down. The only time that it got better was when they added Phillips. That was the only move that Howie made last year that helped that defense at all. Seals, if the money is the problem for Howie getting an edge, your take on Rager draft was point on. That lousy pick haunts him now. That's right. When you miss, listen here. Look at what the Nolan Smith pick has done for you. Are you not getting it? Many people who are in my business think that if you miss on Nolan Smith, you're just missing on Nolan Smith. What year was Nolan? And I'll give you the layout. What year was Nolan Smith drafted? Anybody? I mean, what year was he taken? Was it 22? Was Nolan Smith taken in the 2022 or 21 draft? I think he was in the 22 draft. So 2022, right? 2022. 22, 23, 24, 25. And here we are 5 years going into his fifth year. Okay? 23, is it? 23? Okay. I thought it was 4. Okay, 4. Thanks. Okay, 4. Okay? 23, 24, 25, 26. Fourth year. He's going into his fourth. Okay. 2023. Hassan Reddick was on the team. In 22. What did you guys do? You signed Bryce Huff for $17.5 million. Okay? Right? Signed him for 17.5. 2024, Smith was still a backup on that team behind Josh Sweat and them dudes, right? Okay. 2025, they had him as a starter. Uh-oh. They realized 24 in those little games that he played, This guy couldn't play a full 17 games. We said he's not a 17-game player. What'd they do? They put a third rounder and went and got Jaelan Phillips. So you not only spent $17.5 on Huff, but you lost a third-round pick because of Nolan Smith. Now you lose Jaelan Phillips. Now you have to go back into the draft for an edge rusher. So in theory, you lost a 3, potentially a 1, and money because Smith didn't pan out. That's what happens when a rookie deal doesn't play out and pan out. Money, draft picks, and then the eventual will be cutting them. And cutting him. Think about that. Get this. You ain't getting shit for Nolan Smith's failures. He's the 30th pick in the draft. He's not a third rounder. Sills, with you talking about the Eagles every day, knowing all the ins and outs, I'm not sure how. I'm not an Eagle fan. Who was the last defensive end that we hit in the draft? Then Graham. Took a few years to get going as well. Josh Sweat. Here, I'll say this to you. Watch this. It's a great take, too. Let's go here. Eagles year to year. Let's see how far back we go on edge rusher. Let's go back to Brandon Graham. When was Brandon Graham taken? What year was Brandon Graham? 2010. Let's see how many edge rushers you've drafted since 2010. Defensive ends, let's see. Okay, Brandon Graham went number 1. Okay. Well, actually, that year you drafted 2. I don't even know who this guy is. Ricky Sapp. Okay, then in 2011, nobody. 2012, Vinny Curry. He started 1 game. Joe Kruger started no games. Taylor Hart started no games. Derek Barnett had 3 starts. Is that right? Sound right? In his time? Derek Barnett. So there's Derek Barnett. I think he was okay. Not great. There's Josh Sweat in 18. Josh Sweat. So Josh Sweat had what? Played in 121 games. Derek Barnett played in 112 games. That's not bad. That's not bad. But he never really panned out to be the guy. So Josh Sweat, since Brandon Graham. Who else? Teron Jackson. Who's that? Kyron Johnson. Jalen Hunt's got 33 starts. I still think you've really drafted only 1 guy since Brandon Graham. And that's kind of Derek Barnett and Jalen Hunt. That's 2010. So you're going to go into the draft, and the rest of these guys have all been free agents. Seals used to be a huge Nakobe Dean hater. Listen, I told you he would never get another contract here. And I was right. I wasn't wrong, Sig. I said Nakobe Dean would never get another contract. I wasn't wrong. How am I wrong? He's not here. I wasn't wrong on Dean. Dean was better of a player, and he came on and became a better player than I thought. Okay? No, I said he'd never stay. He'd never get a contract here. I said he would never get another contract. Oh, it's right for the wrong reasons. Okay. Yeah. You guys are the ones that have all these love feelings for people. I don't. Because the NFL doesn't have love for any of these guys. It's a tough ass business. You want to feel and have reach arounds for some of these guys? That's on you. For me, I know how those people deal with people. All right, dude. Hey, Tricks. Is Howie picking that 50-year option up in May 1? How many days is that until May 1? By the way, how many days does he have to decide before May 1? How many days until May 1? You have 52 days to decide what you're going to do. You have 52 days to decide what you're going to do with Nolan Smith in a 50-year option at $15 million. Seems to me Campbell will be on the edge. That's not where Vic wants to play his ass. He's out of position. I want him in the middle. Okay? I mean, by the way, I don't think he looks comfortable out there. Seals, any of you insiders giving anything today? You know what? I've been waiting to get something from a couple folks, but it looks like it slowed down a little bit today. Well, as expected, because all the good dudes have been taken and swapped and picked up. So the Raiders have traded Geno Smith and a 2026 7th-round pick to the Jets in exchange for the 6th-round pick in 2026. This is Adam Schefter sending Geno back. Okay, I guess so. So they're kind of like B moves today. This is a GM trusting process. Yeah, well, it failed last year. Cam Jordan chasing a ring should come at a discount. Why? He's looking for his last bag of money. Why? Well, shit, if I'm going to chase a bag of money, if I'm going to chase a ring, I'm going to Seattle. I'm going to the Rams. Why do I want to come and be a backup in Philadelphia? Cam Jordan's the first. The guy had 9 sacks last year. He could still play. He's going to go to a place where he can play. Seals, what happens on May 1st will be determined by how high they draft an edge in April. If they draft an edge in rounds 1 and 2, and an edge at 3 and 7, Nolan gets the option. I'm going to make a prediction to you right now, Bob. I think they trade Nolan Smith on draft night. You bet. And you're wrong again. Nolan Smith is going into his 4th year. Okay, congratulations to you. I told you that guy is not a 17-game player, too. That turns out to be right. And by the way, if you're making all these moves at edge, how come you got the 30th pick here? What happened to him? What happened to Nolan Smith? You're not supposed to be looking at edge. 4 years ago, you picked a guy to answer that. Well, 4 years later, he's not the guy. This is like Doomersville, USA. The Eagles absolutely have a shot. Who thought the Seahawks So you think you have as good a defense right now as the Seahawks in turn? And you think you have as good an offense as them? I do think they're going to step back a little bit because of the OC and Clint Kubiak leaving. Seals, do you think Vic's scheme makes free agent rushers hesitate to sign because they can't produce as much sack-wise? Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. Hey, Big Antonio, has Vic ever coached a top flight defensive end? I know he's done linebackers. Has he ever coached a guy that was a perennial big-time defensive end? I think maybe Khalil Mack up in Chicago. Robert Quinn had a good year up there. So maybe he was there for that. What was Chubb's year in Denver? Let me see what Bradley Chubb's deal was in Denver when he was there. By the way, I don't know. I'm asking. So I think but that was a linebacker. See what Chubb did in Denver. 7.5, at 12 his first year. Who was the head coach in 18? Now, Vance Joseph was his coach when he had those 12 sacks. So I think Chubb was the top guy while he was there. Yeah, and why he was there, 7.5. He had 8. So, yeah. He had 11 in 23 in Miami. And I think Vic was there. I think Vic was the D coordinator. Funny, Josh Grizzard was down there. Yeah, Vic Fangio when he had 13 this last year, or his 11 and 23, he was there. That's a good number. Any heat on Goddard with any teams? Here's what's happened with Goddard, from what I'm understanding. The kid that signed from Baltimore that went to New York, and KDOT and going back to the Buccaneers, the market is not that big because this draft's got some tight ends in it. And teams don't have a big market for tight ends right now. This is why maybe you have a shot at re-signing Dallas Goedert. Because teams are going to go into the draft and they're going to get a tight end in the draft. The free agent market's not that hot. And I think Goddard's looking at the price tag right now. And I probably think he's got sticker shock. Like, I would be shocked if that guy got more than $7 million. I'd be shocked if he got that kind of cash. Like, getting north of 10, no way. So if I'm the Eagles, I'd probably just sit and wait. Let the market come to me. Or I'd go in the draft and draft a new dude. Eagles should have re-signed a young defensive talent and trimmed the older offensive, expensive talent. They're not touching anything of Nick Sirianni's precious, underachieving offense. Get this. You've given extensions and like big-time deals in the last 2 years. Okay? Like, coming off the Super Bowl, you gave all those guys all that money, and it underachieved, and it fell off the face of the map last year. Your old line, I mean, the back, all the people, look at the people you gave extensions to. Cam stunk. Barkley was half the player. Those two dudes, I mean, they didn't produce. Okay, once again, Jimbo, name me one thing you've done good that you think. Okay, if you think the extension of Jordan Davis is cool, no problem. I'll go there. Jordan Davis. How about your coaching hires? What do you give that grade? Folks, let's do this here for Jimbo. So far, the Eagles, when was the Eagles' last game of the year? Kyle, what was the last game of the year? Give me a day and a month. So we're going to do this for Jimbo because he thinks it's Doomsday Dan. Okay. So we're going to do this. Kyle, what was the last game of the year? Sills, that was a terrible take. I think you mean my dude. Everybody gets paid that for Vic, Milton, Sweat, etc. So I disagree with that take. Look at Vic's history, okay? Look at his history. He's never had a number one defense, and he never won a Super Bowl until 2 years ago in 40 years. Okay. Prince, no problem. Thank you for the super. What was the last day? Okay, January 11th. Thank you, Kyle. Okay, how many days since January 11th? So let's go here. How many days since January 11th? 58 days since the last game of the year. 58 days. Almost 2 months. In the last 2 months, Jimbo, what do you make of your offensive coaching hires? And losing Christian Parker. Let's start with coaching. And the coaching hires. How'd that go? A, B, C, or D? What do you think? A, B, C, or D? Coaching. Oh, no. Jimbo said Doomsday Day. I'm going to ask. So I'm going to let you guys answer it instead of me answering it. What do you make of the coaching hires with intern experience? Yet to be determined? Jesus Christ. So you hired people you don't know anything about and you're not sure what they're going to do. That's this guy's attitude. To be determined. I have no idea who they are. You know who Vic Fangio is, right? So on the other end of that, you have no idea who they are. Okay. So guys, give me a grade on what you think the hires have been. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Your coaching hires? Incomplete. I have no idea. I don't know who any of these guys are. I can't even give them an F. To be fair, I don't know who they are. Is that fair? You're giving them a C plus based on what? Guys never call plays. How's that panned out for you? I mean, based on what, dude? Your intuition? Okay? So I'm going to go incomplete. Yeah, listen. I'm going to go incomplete because I don't know. I mean, I've never heard of these guys. Okay. So let's go Jordan Davis signing. Oh, by the way, the losing of Christian Parker in your secondary, is that going to be a loss or no? Yes or no? You don't probably know? Is the loss of Christian Parker a deal? It's not a deal. Okay. So you don't think it's a big loss, losing Christian Parker, who's now the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys? What about the loss of Jeff Stoutland? Okay, unsure. Okay. What about the loss of Jeff Stoutland? Is that a loss or no? These Eagle fans are in total denial. Hey, by the way, my friend, I'm just talking about what they've done so far in 58 days. So you lost Christian Parker, Jeff Stoutland, and you hired intern coaches. I gave that an incomplete. I think losing Jeff Stoutland and Christian Parker together, I think that's significant. But hey, who am I? So what about losing 3 starters on defense now? What do you make of that? Is that a loss or no? What do you make of that? By the way, I'm only going on what you've done so far. This is what you've done. Hey, by the way, Jordan Davis, some of you like it? Okay, Jordan Davis. So here's what we've come up with in 58 days. You hired intern coaches. I gave it an incomplete because I don't know who they are. You lost Christian Parker and Jeff Stoutland. I think that's a significant deal. You lost 3 starters so far in 58 days on defense. And you re-signed Jordan Davis. How's your offseason gone? How do you think that offseason's gone so far? Doomsday Dan? I'm just commenting on how and what you've done. Parker isn't Stoutland? Not the point. You lost both of them. Just started. So what's next? Jay, what do you think's next? Are you free agency's not going to help you? So what? The draft and a trade? Like that, right? I'm just commenting on what you're doing so far. You got me wrong, dude. Doomsday Dan? Okay. Here's what the Eagles have done. You hired inexperienced football coaches with a first-year play caller that hasn't panned out at all since Nick Sirianni's been the head coach. You lost Christian Parker and Jeff Stoutland. You signed to an extension Jordan Davis, and you've lost 3 starters on defense. That's doomsday? I'm sorry your general manager and your owner have created that, but I didn't do this. They did. It's not doomsday, guy. It's what you've done. Vic controls the defense and coaches. No loss. Oh, okay. I hate these dumbass delusional fans that think the Eagles are great no matter what they do. We must admit, Giants and Dallas have gotten significantly better on paper. Leon, on paper. Okay? They got to play in September. If Dallas gets Patrick Queen as rumored, we must make a move. Keeping my head up, Sills. Listen, yeah. Howie's not going to go into free agent market and help his football team at all with any of these guys left. Chubb, maybe. But he's got to make a trade. Because this year was not really rich in free agents. Sills, Come on, Eagles have Roseman and Laurie, and they plug and play strategy. Coaches and players are replaceable. Okay? 2 years in a row, again, that 2024 defense was one of the best units I ever saw. Last year, you got better by the end of the year, and you ran out of gas in the Niner game because of the incompetence of the offense. You take 3 starters off that football team. By the way, let me ask you something here. Am I right when I say this? When Kobe Dean was put in that starting lineup, he also changed the way the defense played when he came off of IR. Did he not? Did he not change how he played? And that's what basically got Jahad Campbell. Well, he got Jahad Campbell benched. Did he not? Okay, he got him benched. Got better with Dean. Got better with Dean, and then what else? You got significantly better when you added Jaelan Phillips. Dean made the defense better, yes. He was a missile. Yeah, he was so good, they put their first-round draft choice on the bench. Sky is falling? I don't know how this guy, or how you people say losing 3 starters was a good day. And how are you replacing them? You think teams are just going to pick the phone up and call Howie up and go, how can we help you out here? Recoup your team or help you on new players. Do you actually think that's what is going to go down? Hey, yeah. Hey, I want to help you, Howie. I know you lost your edge rusher. Why don't we send you ours? Is that how you think this works? Because those are starters we can afford to lose. So you guys just got through saying the defense got better when Dean and Phillips were put in. He says there's no difference and they're replaceable. Well, you don't have anybody on your roster right now that can replace those 2 guys. Because if that was the case, Jahad Campbell would have started over him. That's not true. It's untrue. Did what we had to do with where our franchise is at today, we aren't in a situation to spend $300 million like the Raiders did. The Raiders have to spend that money because they're terrible. Brandon, when you see teams spending a ton of money, I'm not talking about the Eagles. I saw a stupid 9. Where was that? That the Eagles have spent the least amount of money in free agency. That's a good thing. You know why? Teams that spend a lot of money, they suck. Those are teams that suck. Giants, Raiders. So I'm talking about losing dudes and not having people on your bench to replace them. I'm not talking about them spending money. I'm not spending money. I get the Jaelan Phillips cash. I get it. But you don't have an answer to. You weren't prepared on Jaelan Phillips leaving. You were not prepared. Okay, what are we flip-flopping on? I'm curious. What are we flip-flopping on? Because I'd like to, what's flip-flopping on what? Like on what are you talking about? Taylor, I'll wait. What are you talking about? Flip-flopping on what exactly? Day 2? Dude, all the good players go in day 1. On what? On what? If you're going to say that, get me. On what? Biggest loss so far is Stout for me, okay? You should say it's okay they didn't spend $1 trillion. No. I'm talking about the losses. Eagles have 4 contracts next year. Next year? Fuck that. What about 26? You already took a shit on 25. Are you taking a shit on 26 too? Bro, I don't give a shit about 27. What are you talking about? Let Howie. Oh, so what? Howie is so far out in front, he's forgetting the present. Because last year, his defense and his football team, after September, they were 7-7. They were 500. 500. 500. Sills, do you really trust Howie to draft a safety? Last time the hit on a safety was Dawkins. I'd rather sign one. These guys think he's great. I want to see him go back in the draft and do it again. Wait, how can we be prepared if there's no one out there? Well, wait a minute. You drafted a guy 30th. That's an end. You're missing the point of all this. You've missed on Nolan Smith. You didn't have a plan in case Jaelan Phillips did what he did to you. Leave you in the dirt. Seals, you taking Josh Sweat back? Apparently, he asked for a trade after Gannon got the boot. Cardinals insiders report. At $19 million? Fuck yeah, I'll pick that contract up. At 19? Yeah. I'd make that move in a minute. He had 12 sacks last year. The guy had 12 sacks. I'll take that any day. Sills, are you under the impression they want to keep Nolan Smith? I think I'm under the impression they have to keep Nolan Smith. So Sweat say he regrets leaving. Yeah. He don't regret being in that Lamborghini or whatever he's in. Sills, how did the Eagles screw up on Nolan Smith? Now he is saying he's been a bust. Well, he is. He's not been a starter. If you're not starting, dude, and you're had to go out and get another end like Jaelan Phillips, and Jalix Hunt has beat you out, and you're always hurt, you tell me what you think he is. Sean, do you think he's like a guy who's going to start for you for 17 games? Never happen. Wait, well, if you keep him on the team, he's $15 million. Bring Sweat home. I would have no problem with that. Guy had 12 sacks last year. Too small. Eagles better pay Carter. Nothing worse than a guy who does less work, gets paid more. Like I said, man, guy's a 2-down player and he got $26 million. Okay. Congratulations. Sills, put the word for Sweat. Campaign Sills. I would totally dig him back. Howie trading with Arizona to bring him back? What were his numbers a year ago? I want to double check this. see, Josh Sweat. $12 sacks. How about this, folks? In the last 4 years, Josh Sweat has done this. In the last 4 years, Josh Sweat has 38 sacks. And you got rid of that? At $19 million. And he's 28. He's 28 years old. He's 28 years old, and in the last 4 years, he's got 38 sacks. I mean, and he was the Super Bowl MVP on the defensive side of the ball. And you ain't got anybody on that football team that's anywhere near that guy. $19 million? I'll go get him right now. Let's see here. Let's do here and go over here. Let me double check something here. Let's see here. And Jaelan Phillips will be 27 years old in May. And Sweat's 28. There's a year's difference. If Goddard ends up back for $8 million a year, is that a huge win? Yeah, I think so. I do. I think that's a big win. Okay. I get they missed on Smith, but what do you know? You can't go back. That's not the point. You're in the position you are today because of that miss. I'm not going back. I'm telling you where you are today. Everything you do, Howie does this, everything you do 2-3 years from now is going to impact what you do and what's going to happen today. The missing on Nolan Smith is where you are right now, why you've had to spend money and draft picks and in free agency. Same thing with the Rager move. Now, the Rager move is way in the past, but the Nolan Smith miss has affected your way you do business on defense, especially at the edge position. He's not panning out. And when that means that, you put a 3 out there for Phillips, you lose Phillips. You had to pay Bryce Huff $17 million. And when Nolan Smith didn't pan out, now you have to go back in the draft and you got to get another edge. You're not looking at the overall totality when you draft high and you draft a player high and what the impact is on your cap and on your roster. You're missing the whole thing. Hopefully Rager saved his money. Well, here, the Rager thing, as I pointed out, 3 years of Rager's rookie contract, you lose all of that because he wasn't productive. Like Jefferson in Minnesota, you had those 3 years of him being on a rookie deal, and he was giving you iconic years. You spread that money around. You guys had to go give A.J. Brown $32 million because of the miss on Rager. And you gave a 1-up. Seals, we got AJ because Rager was a total flop. Yeah. It cost you a 1 and $32 million a year. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong. These players aren't signed yet, so we could still those deals are done. But they become official on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Like, you're not going back. No, you're not going to see anybody go and renege out of the deal. These deals are pretty much consummated, and they'll be official when the new year starts tomorrow at 4 p.m. Hell, I didn't even know we were down here already. So what's your remedy? Pale me? Because this show sounds exactly like the last two off seasons listening to the show. Well, I was right this last off season. Thank you, I guess. Milton was flopping last year. It's definitely possible, but not likely. Milton did not flop last year. I don't know what you're talking about. We won 2 Super Bowls with 2 completely different teams. I don't take long to rebuild a team. Okay? I'm assuming you don't. It won't take long to rebuild. You know, how when you are signed up to all these contracts on offense that you're pigeonholed with all those deals, do you think you're going to move off of all those deals? Massacre Monday. Let me see. Let me refresh over here. Let me see if anybody. Oh, Jesus. Ugh. Let's see here. Jaquan Brisker feels like a natural fit for the Eagles. Who the fuck are these guys? I sound like Conor McGregor now. Who the fuck are these guys? That's what you're in the land of now. Let me get this going here. Without further ado, by the way, Mark Farzetta will join us at 4:30. Massacre Monday. Year 2 of the blowtorch continues. 3 starters. You know that you could potentially lose 5 starters this offseason. With Goddard, AJ, and these dudes right here that. Can you believe that? You could possibly lose 5 starters.